know what it's for anyways, right? Yeah. Anyways, welcome to race number 5 of 29 in the 1989 Throwbacks. And you can see our big players thus far, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, Bill Elliott, and Tim Richmond are the only 4 people that are within 100 points of the leader, including points leader Dale Earnhardt, who is trying to repeat his championship win from last season and try to go 3 out of the past 4. This race this week will be the TranSouth 500 at Darlington. And if you guys think that Chevrolet's dominance is going to end anytime soon, I think you're going to be disappointed, because in practice, the fastest people, they've been Chevrolets. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. And our pole sitter, nonetheless, is actually not going to be a Chevrolet. It's going to be a Pontiac. How about that? Wow. How about that? So, Rusty Wallace is going to be your pole sitter, followed by second place Tim Richmond, third place Terry Labonte, fourth place Dale Earnhardt, fifth place Ricky Rudd, sixth place Jeffrey Bodine, seventh place Bill Elliott, eighth place Davey Allison, ninth place Harry Gant, and 10th place Phil Parsons, as we will be receiving the command anytime soon now.
Drivers, start your engines.
And there it is. And we will get to see these drivers roll off for a 500-mile race here at this 1.367-mile egg-shaped oval, Darlington Speedway. Or Darlington Raceway, rather. This could be a preview as to what we'll see later on in the year. The Southern 500, which will be one of the 4 Winston Million races. The final of the 4. Anyways, here comes the leaders down. They're going to come to the line. The green flag is out, and we are underway here at Darlington. And we've already got problems. Rick Mast is on the apron. The green flag has barely dropped, and we've already got issues. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace is going to go and take the lead early on. Terry Labonte will fall in the second, Ricky Rudd third, Bill Elliott fourth, but here comes Elliott trying to dive down to the bottom of Rudd. He'll get there. Elliott trying to battle for the third position as they go down the front straightaway here. Lap number 1 is going to be given to Rusty Wallace. Elliott trying to make the pass here down on the inside, something that's proven to be rather difficult actually in practicing. But Elliott's getting the job done. He's able to take 2 positions away there as he will move into the second position. And as well, here comes Tim Richmond in the 25. Richmond, we all know how fast of a car he's able to have week in and week out. And now Elliott, he's not going to stop here at second place. He is going to challenge for the lead here, as he's going to want to take a statement here at Darlington, no doubt about it. Bill Elliott looking for a way around Rusty Wallace, and looks like he's going to find it here. He's going to dive down to the inside of the number 27 Pontiac. He's going to get beat into the corner, though, and Wallace is going to retain the position. Elliott's going to stay in second place. Terry Labonte trying to hold on to third. We're just watching this lead battle because I don't think it's going to calm down anytime soon here. Elliott is still right on the back of that 27 machine, and he's still looking for a way around. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd, he pulls out a line. He's looking for a way around the 25 of Tim Richmond. He's going to try it through the ultra-wide turns 3 and 4. Not going to happen, or maybe it will. Rudd's going to try his shot down here in turns 1 and 2. That's the tighter of the 2 corners here at Darlington, and that can be really difficult. And now here we go, we got a battle for the lead, and a lead change will happen. Elliott's going to take over the lead, and Terry Labonte will take over the second position as Rusty Wallace is going to drop back to third. So already we've had our share of drama here, and it's barely been 5 laps. Rudd down to the bottom of the 27 now. And they have really done a good job with this track here today, getting it to race really, really well. And you can see Rudd making the move in turns 1 and 2. Now here comes Earnhardt. He's going to try to get around Wallace. Looks like he will as well. So Rusty Wallace, having a couple of really poor laps, has found himself all the way back in the 5th position. I don't think anybody really expected him to be that far back, but that's what's going on. Meanwhile, we look further back. Here's the battle for 8th. This is between Darrell Waltrip and Jeffrey Bodine, 2 teammates. You can see Phil Parsons in the 55. And it's always a joy to see all 5 manufacturers here in NASCAR inside the top 10. And meanwhile, we're about to have 2 different manufacturers in the top 2 and 4 different manufacturers inside the top 5. And there you go. Ricky Rudd's going to get around Terry Labonte there, and it goes Ford, Buick, Ford, Chevrolet, Pontiac in the top 5 here, followed by Chevrolet Oldsmobile. So all 5 of NASCAR's manufacturers are inside the top 7. The only repeat manufacturers are going to be 2 Chevrolets and 2 Fords, which is about what you would expect anyways. Meanwhile, Harry Gant's teammate, number 55, Phil Parsons, he's doing a really good job right now in that number 55 machine. You see him there just getting around Jeff Bodine in the 5. And what I have to say is something that we really haven't seen so far this year. A manufacturer really take a Chevrolet in one of these races. And boy, Ford and Buick have really stepped up here. Now, Ricky Rudd, he's got to be riding a huge wave of momentum. He just won last week at Richmond, and that is a huge win for that 26 team, no doubt about it. It broke an over 1,200-day winless streak for Ricky Rudd, dating all the way back to 1985. I can tell you what, that team's very happy to get off the schneid and get back into the wins column. Elliott, of course, would like to, well, return to his winning ways as well. He would love to return to championship ways. Boy, I'll tell you what, after that 1984 dominating season, we thought that there was going to be nobody that could stop Elliott. And, oh boy, we were wrong. We were just dead wrong. Yeah, well, Earnhardt and Richmond and Wallace kind of all stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to stand up to Elliott. Yeah, and Elliott kind of fell a little bit, but man, he had a resurgent season last year, and now he's looking to have hopefully a championship winning season this year. As you see further in the back, Rusty Wallace continues to drop positions, as Tim Richmond just grabbed the 5th position away from him. So Wallace is now going to drop to 6th. And here's Harry Gant for 7th, so you know he's not too far behind. Phil Parsons there for 8th, Jeff Bodine 9th, Darrell Waltrip in 10th. And in 11th, we have Davey Allison, somebody who has had an extremely rough start to the season. And I really put the emphasis on the word extreme. This kid is beneath, not just beneath the top 25 threshold in points, he is 34th in points. This team has really, really struggled to put anything together here early on in the season. And it's just disappointing because it seems like these guys run near the top 10 every week. They've ran near the top 10 every week anyways. And it's just heartbreaking to think that, man, You know, maybe the new ownership here for that number 28 car in the form of Robert Yates isn't exactly panning out the way that they wanted. Meanwhile, go back to the lead is, well, I thought we had a little bit more of a battle than we do here, but Ricky Rudd has been slowly catching that number 9 car. And that's big news right there. If Rudd can run down Bill Elliott, potentially try to take 2 races in a row, something that hasn't happened in Ricky Rudd's career yet. Well, why not? Just get the train rolling, back-to-back victories. I think that's an excellent way to continue on with the season. Meanwhile, a couple of misclicks later, and we are on Tim Richmond and Dale Earnhardt here. Richmond trying to find a way around that 25. Where can the 25 go? It looks like Richmond, he's got the upper hand. He's faster, but man, Earnhardt is just such a good driver. Both of these guys are just amazing drivers. They really battled it out tooth and nail last season to see who was the best driver. Earnhardt ended up prevailing. But to think that the last 3 championships, the last 3 years that NASCAR has determined a champion, these 2 drivers are the only 2 people to do it. There hasn't been 3 different drivers. It's just been these 2. And they haven't changed their number, their manufacturer. Earnhardt has changed his sponsor to GM Goodwrench. That was a change made last year, as he won his first championship with the Wrangler sponsor. Well, second championship with his Wrangler sponsored car, rather. Meanwhile, here we go. Not going to happen going into turns 3 and 4, and it's just so difficult to make a pass here. Now he's going to try to get down to the bottom here in turns 3 and 4. We'll see if he can hold it. He will be able to. Now we're going to come down here. These guys are going to go all the way down to 120 miles an hour going into turns 3 and 4, and Richmond will be able to take the position away from Earnhardt. Meanwhile, Terry Labonte is starting to look for a way around Ricky Rudd. And here comes Labonte to the bottom. Can he get there? No, sir. And Labonte's just looking for any way around Ricky Rudd here. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get it done right now. Let's take a look at the fastest lap boards, and right now it's by, wow. Wow, that is a very tight top of the leaderboard. Bill Elliott has the fastest lap with a speed of 156.383 miles an hour. Phil Parsons is second with a speed of 156.343 miles an hour. And Tim Richmond third, 156.313 miles an hour. Meanwhile, Terry Labonte just took over the second position, and he got a huge run on Bill Elliott. Terry Labonte is another person that's been on, I would say, a more modest dry spell. He didn't get to victory lane all of last year, but he did have 2 victories and 2 poles back in 1987 when he first made the jump over to Junior Johnson. But right now, 2 Fords are at the point here at Darlington. Something that really has to come out of surprise to anybody that's really seen the first 4 races. It's been Chevrolet, and Buick, which is really just another Chevrolet. So it's been really difficult for the non-GM cars to really get their stuff going here, but clearly they got it going here at Darlington. Elliott trying to maneuver around JD McDuffie's number 70 Pontiac. Not been able to do it yet. Hey, if the driver is unwilling to move, you know, this is the kind of thing that can happen here. Here you can see all three leaders are just going to be patient. They're going to put JD McDuffie on the outside lane. And there you can see the 11 and the 26 go by. Meanwhile, Davey Allison, the person that we said that was struggling earlier, well, he was in 11th, but he has since passed both the Hendrick Chevrolets of Darrell Waltrip and Jeffrey Bodine, and he currently finds himself in the 9th position. And it should also be noted that Davey Allison doesn't exactly have the fastest car in the world, 12th fastest with 154.627 miles an hour, and which is actually an hour and a half off of the leaders. But he's still got a modestly paced car, and Allison is just hoping to finish this race, try to climb back into the top 25 if he wants to make it back this season. To the next season. That's the only way you're guaranteed in, is if you got that top 25 entry. Meanwhile, Phil Parsons is trying to pass Dale Earnhardt, and looks like that's actually going to be a successful pass. So Parsons is able to get around Earnhardt here. You'll see Parsons probably try to maneuver around the JD McDuffie Pontiac. You'll see the 70 car slip up the track there. There goes the 55 down to the bottom. And this track just has such a tight groove that it's just so difficult to actually get anything done at this track. So passing here, even lap traffic, can prove to be a real challenge. Now, you don't want to really get aggressive and pass them on the straightaways, because if you're on the apron going into either of the turns, you're just going to have problems, and you don't want to have problems. You can see Phil Parsons putting on a clinic pretty much. Meanwhile, up here, we've got all sorts of issues here for the lead. Jeff Purvis and Ben Hess getting in the way. 26 of Ricky Rudd just looking for a way on by. This is typically how lap traffic works. Richmond trying to take advantage of the lap traffic. That's going to be huge. That'll move him past the 11 car. So Terry Labonte might lose 2, maybe even 3 positions here if he doesn't watch himself. And oh, look at this. Oh, that's a tight squeeze. Boy. I thought they were going to go 3 wide going into that corner, and that is just a no-no here at this track. It doesn't matter what way you cut it. That is just a bad move. Just a bad move in general. Well, Phil Parsons here in the long run, he seems to have really good long run speed. Remember, he hasn't won since his only career win, 1987 at Riverside. But he was still consistent all through 1988. And he continues to be, well, I would say, a pretty formidable force here in 1989, especially if you're able to compete with the likes of Junior Johnson. Which is what he's doing here. Going into turns 3 and 4, though, that low line just does not work. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd and the gang trying to figure out a way around the 51 of Butch Miller, 71 of Dave Marcus. There goes the 26 around Butch. And here comes Marcus up. And meanwhile, we've got pit stops here on lap number 33. So this will be a 2 pit stop race. Phil Parsons and Terry Labonte's likely going to force the issue here. So we'll see how much pit stops really affect this race. We'll go up to the leader, Bill Elliott now. He pulls off the track. He's going to come down pit road. Tim Richmond will not. So Richmond's going to stay out. That'll be 5 bonus points for Tim Richmond right there. Or not. Maybe Richmond was not staying. I lost track of who's pitting and who's not pitting already. So here's the 11 car. Trying to block up the 25 here. You can see Eddie Bierschwell coming onto the track right now. And now here comes Tim Richmond down to the inside of the 11. He'll take that position away. You can see Bill Elliott coming out there. And how about this one? Phil Parsons coming out in the 4th position. Well, those guys, they're known for their expert pitch strategy. And man, they've put themselves in a good position yet again. Just immaculate that team is on pit road. Meanwhile, we got a battle for the lead. Now here's really the first time all day long that we've seen a lot of speed out of a Chevrolet. Elliott goes down to block the 25. Remember, the thin racing groove, there's not a lot of room here. So if you get blocked all the way down to where the where that white dotted line is, you really do not want to go below that. That is a line you do not want to cross. And even though it goes away on the straightaways, you got to keep it in your mind where that dotted line is. And you got to follow it. This is an interesting idea here from Elliott. We'll see how this works. It might actually work to his advantage. Trying to use the outside to pass the lapped car of Dick Trickle, and it might actually work. It will. That was a great move by Bill Elliott. Using the outside lane to get past lap traffic. And meanwhile, Phil Parsons is going to move himself into the 3rd position and potentially the 2nd. Look at this move by Parsons. Wow. Phil Parsons. Early on, I got to say that might end up being the move of the race right there. Even though we're not even too far into this race yet, that might be the move of the race right there. That was a great, solid move by Phil Parsons. That was just fantastic. Richmond ain't done though. There goes Richmond to the inside. And Richmond's going to retake the 2nd position. Terry Labonte's going to try to retake 3rd. He's got it. And passing in turns 3 and 4, that's just really difficult. Meanwhile, if we take a look away from the lead group, we've got Ricky Rudd here in 5th. Dale Earnhardt in 6th, running all alone. Harry Gant also alone in 7th. And here's someone you might not be expecting. You've got Rusty Wallace in 8th, but how about Bobby Hillin Jr. in the 9th position right now? It's another team that actually showed a surprising amount of speed during practice. Another team that showed a surprising amount of speed during practice, this 35 squad. with Ken Schrader at the wheel. Man, he's somebody that's really just come up and shocked a lot of people early on. You know, he's got speed, but the thing is, he needs to be able to finish well. And Schrader's had just a bit of a hard time doing that. Meanwhile, I thought Harry Gant was racing alone. No, sir. Here comes the 27 of Rusty Wallace. He'll go right around. Meanwhile, going back to the front, there goes Terry Labonte right around Tim Richmond. So Labonte is going to move into the second position. Meanwhile, Bill Elliott is like, tee-hee. I'm just going to check out here. Have a good race, boys. Bill Elliott continues to lead the TranSouth 500, and yeah, that's just Bill Elliott. Meanwhile, looks like Ken Schrader, he's still trying to find his way around the 5 of Jeffrey Bodine, his teammate. JJ passes just don't happen right away at this track. Right now you can see there, 21 cars are currently on the lead lap. Last person on the lead lap is Larry Pearson. And here you go. That was a good run through turns 3 and 4 there for Ken Schrader. Look at this that he's going to be able to do. Right around him. Welcome to the top 10, Ken Schrader. That was a great move through turns 3 and 4. And definitely not an easy one. Meanwhile, we go back up more towards the front here, as we may have a battle brewing here between, the 25 and the 55 now. You can see Terry Labonte just now getting around Michael Waltrip there in the 30 car. The 30 car is going to slide up for Tim Richmond. And there goes Richmond to the bottom. The 55 of Phil Parsons is going to follow suit. And so will the 84 of Dick Trickle, despite being a lap down. The 55 did not get a good run through the corner there, so he might not be able to capitalize. At least not as quickly as the 25 did, but man, that was a strong run off the corner, and that's one of the things about Darlington's tight groove, is that you can run whatever line you want, and you'll probably still be fast. Meanwhile, that's not a good thing. Here comes Dick Trickle down to the inside of Phil Parsons. And Parsons was able to, I will say, rightfully hold him off. And getting passed by a lapped car, that's about as embarrassing as it can get. Meanwhile, Elliott has, needless to say, checked out. He's way up in front here. See, the next cars to put a lap down are Sterling Marlin and Larry Pearson. Meanwhile, Tim Richmond here in the 3rd position, as the battle for second really continues to heat up here, as Bill Elliott just continues to drive away. Just seems disheartening here, as Elliott's just pretty much just checked out on these guys. They're just like, yeah, we're just gonna leave. Why not? He's got the fastest car on the whole track, no doubt about it now. Or maybe not, because Ken Schrader. Wow. 156.402 miles an hour for Ken Schrader. How about that? Well, Schrader isn't messing around, that's for certain. In fact, he's going to be challenging for 8th really soon here. If not, I've already gotten around him for 8th. He's right on the back of Harry Gant. You can see them getting around the lapped car of Lake Speed in the 83. And here comes Schrader down to the bottom of the 33. Oh boy. Oh, that is just such a hard move to be able to make in turns 3 and 4. And Schrader does it anyways. Wow, that just shows you how fast that Ken Schrader car is. But that has really only come alive as of late. And it's just not going to be enough. 13.5 seconds back out of the lead. Man, that car is going to have a long way to go. Meanwhile, here's another battle that we have. Battle between Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt here. That is for the 5th position, top 5. Earnhardt's also able to make that move in turns 3 and 4. So we've really seen turns 3 and 4 start to light up as a passing opportunity here on this second run, something that just wasn't happening on the first run. Meanwhile, in this traffic jam, whoa, easy boys. I thought they were going to go 3 wide there and I got a nervous heart attack. That was insane. 55 leads the 89 into the corner. Man. There goes Terry Labonte. He's going to start work on Dave Marcus now. Meanwhile, Elliott's still trying to put Sterling Marlin a lap down, but he's down in the 40th position. So obviously something major wrong there with the 94. The Dunleavy car of Chad Little in the 90, he has retired. He is out. Along with the 66 of Rick Mass and the 52 of Jimmy Means. They are also both out. Terry Labonte there getting around Larry Pearson in the 4. Well, you got Phil Parsons here in the 55 doing, I just have to say, excellently. No doubt that team will be returning. No doubt about it. At least with this early run, I mean, Phil Parsons is really showing that he's got the muscle to compete with everybody else here. And this might be Parsons' breakout season here in 1989. I know we kind of said that in 88 and 87. Oh man, we kind of seem to say the same thing every single year about Phil Parsons, that this guy seems like he's going to be great. He's going to rise in the shadows from his dad's near-fatal accident at Talladega that brought the use of the restrictor plate. But this year, he's actually done very well. See how that continues through the short track stretch here leading up to the Coca-Cola 600. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're going to have Bristol, you're going to have Martinsville, you're going to have North Wilkesboro, and you're going to have Dover. So, all those races are all interesting, no doubt about it. They're tough races, really tough races. Meanwhile, it looks like that we're actually going to be rapidly closing in on pit stops here. Bill Elliott continues to lead the TranSouth 500 here at Darlington. Bill Elliott currently holding a 5.5 second lead over Terry Labonte in the 11th. And yeah, he's just been the car to beat all day long. And this is Elliott in his really, truly dominating form, no doubt about it. He has done a phenomenal job thus far in this race. Of course, there's plenty of time to blow the race yet. We're just going to be coming on to lap 60 here once he gets back to the line in half a lap. So we're coming up on lap 60. Well, that's still 33 laps of racing left. And since we're at that 33 lap threshold, now we've got the idea of when do we pit. Do we short? Does anybody decide to short pit this segment and try to make it the rest of the way? So just keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, Tim Richmond's moved into the 3rd position around Phil Parsons. I gotta say, Dick's done a really good job staying on the back of the 25 and the 55 and the 11. He really hasn't let these 3 cars go. So he's done a really good job there for the Stavola brothers. Of course, that team, that 84 team in particular, heavily funded by Bobby Allison. And you wonder, well, will Bobby Allison actually fund his own team next year? That actually seems to be very likely. Whether Dick Trickle will stay with Bobby Allison or not, we'll have to see. That is, if Allison goes and makes his own team legitimately. Meanwhile, yeah, Ken Schrader continues to be one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car on the track, as he was just able to get around Rusty Wallace for the 7th position. So, man, Ken Schrader is flying around this track right now, and he's doing really, really well in that 35 machine. Meanwhile, Phil Parsons back into 3rd. As this has been an exciting battle to watch here for the 3rd position. Dale Earnhardt's coming up, though, so now it might be a little bit more than just a battle for 3rd. And now here comes Earnhardt down to the bottom. And look at this, Dick Trickle trying to pass the 55 again. And man, turns 3 and 4 just wins every time. And there goes Earnhardt. He's going to sneak his way around Tim Richmond. Maybe. Well, he hasn't snuck away. There he goes. He's gotten his way around Richmond now. He seems to be really charging here in the late run. So I think it's only a matter of time before he starts challenging Phil Parsons here for a position. Meanwhile, yeah, pit stops are beginning. Terry Labonte's going to pull it down on pit road. So Labonte comes to pit road. Here comes Dale Earnhardt to the inside of the 55 car. And the 55 and the 3 are coming down pit road now. Meanwhile, I try to find Bill Elliott. He is not on pit road yet. Wow, he's that far ahead. So Elliott right now just trying to protect his lead, I think. And there he goes. He's going to come down pit road. I'm not sure why he's trying to protect his lead. He's already secured the most laps led. Meanwhile, here's Terry Labonte. This guy was in second place when he pit. He's going to be forced to the high lane here by Mickey Gibbs. Gibbs is just going to let him go. And you can see Ken Schrader made up a lot of positions. No, or not. I shouldn't say he made up a lot of positions, but he seemed to make up a lot of ground. So look for Schrader to be really strong here in this final leg of the race. Elliott is way out still. And boy, it's going to take a royal collapse in order for Bill Elliott to lose this race. He's just way out there. So we'll wait for scoring to come up here. As you can see, Derek Cope getting in the way of Terry Labonte. Scoring right now puts the 33 out in front of the 9. I'm guessing the 33 must have just pulled down onto pit road, and he did. I can finally get to him. There we go. So 33 just pulled himself down on a pit road. So Harry Gant's going to get himself 5 bonus points for this race. Question is, are those 5 bonus points going to be worth it? Gotta make sure you're not ruining your stance within the race. And now the battle for second is really going to heat up here. So this is the big one. Terry Labonte's in second, Tim Richmond in third, Dale Earnhardt in fourth, and Phil Parsons in fifth. And this is just going to be the big race. Elliott's way up here. He's way up. 3/4 of a straightaway out. 5 seconds ahead. So it will have to take something spectacular to happen, or a caution, in order for this field to run Elliott back down. Something tells me I don't think we're going to see either of those things happen, but stranger things have happened here at Darlington. We've had everything from caution-free races to races where only 18 cars have finished here at this track, so we can have both caution-riddled and caution-free races at this track, man. It is really an unpredictable wild card that anyone can win. And at this track, we've seen very few drivers dominate. This isn't a track where drivers typically dominate a race. But this time around, yeah, you can really say that Bill Elliott has dominated this race. Now, we're not following Bill Elliott. You're following the battle for third position. That is Tim Richmond in the 25, Dale Earnhardt in the 3 car down below. And you can see Earnhardt going into the 3rd position. Bill Parsons here, the number 55 Olds. He is in 5th. And this is somebody who has put together quite a showing up against 4 drivers who are definitely seasoned veterans of this series. I guess you could definitely call Tim Richmond a seasoned veteran by now. He's done phenomenally in that 25 car, won a championship for himself in '87. Earnhardt winning championships in 1980, 86, and 88. 86 and 88 championships being for Richard Childress in that 3 car. Terry Labonte, championship-less, but still a top contender for a championship. Of course, Bill Elliott, who's way out in front, dominated the 1984 championship. He just kind of ran away with it. Let's just not talk about that collapse that happened late in the season. But, yeah, there was at one point that Bill Elliott had a 600-point lead over second place, which is just ludicrous to think about. 600-point lead! That's insane! Earnhardt to the bottom. Now this is the battle for second, as it looks like Labonte's starting to lose some pace. And maybe the Chevrolets are starting to get their strutting gone. Maybe it's time for the Chevrolets to start shining. Earnhardt's going to go to second. Richmond's very likely to go to third here. There he goes. Richmond might even try second place, and there goes Richmond for second. Wow, he just blew by Earnhardt as if he was standing still as well. So Richmond will take the second position, and that was just a great move by Tim Richmond. So Earnhardt's going to go to third. Terry Labonte loses 2 positions to fourth. And Bill Elliott still has a 5-second lead over Tim Richmond. And that's a lead of, you gotta say, that is almost insurmountable unless something happens to that 9 car or there's a caution. As we said, this has been a smooth race. It's been a very clean race. Unlike that Wreckfest that happened last week at Richmond. It was definitely the opposite of a smooth and clean race. That was a race of attrition. But right now, this is definitely a race of dominating speed. Not a race of attrition, which are usually won by, well, the luckiest people. And I spoke too soon because the caution flag is flying. And there's Bill Elliott. So here we go. The caution flag has flown. And now we're going to figure out what's going on. And it's Dave Marcus. Look at this. Dave Marcus. Hit the wrong button. Dave Marcus, slow down the straightaway. Yep. Now what? Well, this still actually isn't going to help because look at all of the lapped cars that are going to be in between Bill Elliott and Tim Richmond. Good Lord, I see maybe 12 cars here that are going to be in between the 9 and the 25. And since we're going to be restarting inside 10 laps to go, the double file restart does not happen. All restarts within 10 laps to go are single file as per NASCAR's rules. So you got to keep that in mind. So really, this is not going to help bunch up the battle for first unless all of these lapped cars go down pit road for some reason, which they're not going to. Things might get messy on this restart, though. This might not be the only restart of this race. Looking back here, see Tim Richmond in second, Dale Earnhardt in third, Terry Labonte in fourth, Phil Parsons fifth, Ken Schrader sixth, Ricky Rudd seventh. Then you have to go back a little bit further, Rusty Wallace eighth, Jeff Bodine ninth, and Darrell Waltrip 10th. So right now you are following the second place Tim Richmond, and we'll show you exactly just how many cars are going to be between Richmond and Elliott here. Elliott passed 5 seconds worth of lap traffic. That is a lot. And Elliott's going to be able to get another easy jump. And with 10 to 12 lapped cars settled in behind him, this is just going to be it's still a solid win for Elliott. It's really difficult for me to see anything other than a win for Elliott here, especially with all that lap traffic in between them. The caution did not come out soon enough. 15 drivers are on the lead lap. Alan Kowicki is the last car scored on the lead lap. 3 drivers are out of this race. Chad Little, Jimmy Means, and Rick Mast. All of them retired due to mechanical issues. Ten laps to go when we come to the line, and we should be given the 1 to go here. And we indeed are. So 1 to go here. We're going to restart with 9 laps left. The race will definitely will not be for the lead. The race will be for second place. So that's where our cameras are going to follow. The 25, Tim Richmond, he's in second. Dale Earnhardt in third. Terry Labonte in fourth. And Phil Parsons, the 55, in fifth. And then you also have Ken Schrader in sixth and Ricky Rudd in seventh. They're all right there. Pace car is going down the back straightaway now. Once we come through the wide sweeping turns 3 and 4, we should see something interesting. Here we go. These guys are up into first gear for this restart. The pace car is going to pull in. And the green flag is back out here from Darlington. And now we're going to go directly to that position battle for second place. Remember, Elliott is in front of all of this lap traffic. The race is not for the lead. The race is for the second position. Tim Richmond currently holds the second position. You can see here Dale Earnhardt in third and Terry Labonte in fourth. Boy, that is really a cluster of traffic and is going to be very difficult to maneuver around no matter who you are. You're just going to have to keep your car pinned to the bottom and hope that nothing happens. And that didn't work enough for Tim Richmond, or did it? Definitely some luck there by Tim Richmond, and now Earnhardt's being shoved up the track. And here comes Phil Parsons down as Labonte got too far up the track as well. So Phil Parsons is going to be able to take this position away from Labonte. The 25 looking high, looking low, looking everywhere, trying to get around lap traffic desperately, trying to make sure he doesn't get caught out on that high line. And again, as we said, the battle is not for the lead. The lead is held by Bill Elliott. He's way out in front of all these lapped cars. The lead to Elliott is currently 3.5 seconds, and it's only growing every single lap, thanks to lap traffic. Boy, Terry Labonte lost a ton of spots, and he's continuing to lose positions because he got trapped on the high lane. He might not even get a top 10 out of this race, despite being second or third all race long. One mistake just cost Terry Labonte about 45 points. That is insane. Look at this. Terry Labonte's not even in the top 10 anymore. He scored 11th. And we're still watching this great battle for second. Earnhardt goes to the bottom. Earnhardt can't get there. Tim Richmond pulls away. Ken Schrader trying to get to the back of the three. And here comes Rudd down to the bottom. Can he get anything done? No. These positions have been stagnant. Earnhardt trying to go down to the bottom of Tim Richmond again. It's just not going to work. Earnhardt keeps on trying to find a way around Tim Richmond, but Richmond is holding him off. Earnhardt undoubtedly will continue to have his points lead at the end of this race after a very impressive third place finish. Well, maybe a fourth place finish and maybe even a fifth place finish, because here comes Richmond. I mean, not Richmond. I'm sorry. That's Ken Schrader in the 35. 2 laps to go. Elliott way out in front. And there you go. Earnhardt's going to slide back behind Schrader, and he's also going to slide back behind Ricky Rudd. Rudd's going to get to the bottom of the 35 now. Dale Jarrett's going to get in the 35's way, and that's going to leave the door open for Rudd. Rudd gets to the bottom, and now Schrader needs to get back to the bottom. White flag is out. So we've been following that excellent race for second place. But the time to follow is no more. Bill Elliott in turn 3. He's going to come up off of turn 4, and he's going to win himself a race. Bill Elliott wins the TranSouth 500 here at Darlington. Look at how big this gap is to second place. There it goes. It's going to go Richmond, Rudd, Schrader, Earnhardt. That was just some really good, hard-nosed racing right there. Between some of the best drivers on this planet, no doubt about it. Well, the next race is Bristol, and we can see these point standings, and the points lead got cut down to 21 between Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt. And Jeff Bodine is also still hanging in there at the top of the leaderboard in third place. We've had 5 races and 5 different winners now, which is pretty impressive to start out the season, no doubt about that. Schrader's sitting comfortably 6th in points, Phil Parsons 7th. Alan Kowicki and Brett Bodine are probably 2 surprises, being 8th and 9th in points. And probably another surprise is how low some people are ranked, like Rusty Wallace being 15th in points, and Terry Labonte being 17th in points. That's due to DNFs. And then you keep on looking down, and you see Davey Allison stuck down here 30th in points, having 3 DNFs in the first 4 races. The only other person to do that is Rick Mast. Not good company to be in. Anyways, Bill Elliott dominates his way to a win at Darlington. We'll see you next time at Bristol, where things always get interesting.